Hi everyone. I'm Jason Bauer-Clapp. I'm the Director of Career Education at Smith Lazar Center for Career Development, and I'm happy to welcome everyone who's joining us today for the Smith in the World panel, including students, faculty, staff, family and friends, supervisors, and maybe even some prospective Smithies out there. Today's session is being recorded, so audience members, please make sure your microphones are muted. The Smith in the World Conference was first held nearly 20 years ago. And while this conference has taken various forms over this time, the consistent through line has been to celebrate the wide range of experiential learning undertaken by Smith students, including summer internships, research, and study abroad. Smith in the World is part of the college's 2025 Spring Showcases, which include the Amplify competition in February, and Joypalooza, Smith Arts Day, and Celebrating Collaborations, all held in April. And you can learn more about those events on Smith's website. Today's session, focusing on STEM experiences, is the third of 7 Smith in the World panels we're hosting this year. Later this week, we'll have panels on education, nonprofit, and social impact on Wednesday afternoon at this time, and government, international affairs, law, and policy on Friday afternoon. And then next week, there'll be panels on arts, media, and communications on Tuesday, the 21st, and health professions on Thursday, the 23rd. Today, you'll hear from students who engaged in STEM-related internships or research experiences this past summer in different parts of the world. We're going to start with Seychelle Brainard, who worked in Hawaii modeling coral reef connectivity in the Western Indian Ocean. Shalom Mhanda, who interned as a software development engineer at Amazon in Seattle, using machine learning techniques for image classification, and hasn't joined us yet, but hopefully she'll be able to join us and make her presentation. Sharmila Green, who worked in India doing geological analysis of sections from the Earth's crust. So for the flow of today's panel, we're going to have all of our panelists present, and then we'll open it up to audience questions. So for everyone in the audience, please use the chat to enter any questions you have for the panelists. We'll be monitoring that space, and we'll share your questions with the presenters after they've all presented. Okay, so again, for everybody in the audience, please make sure your microphones are muted. And with that, we're going to turn it over to our first panelist, Seychelle.
All right, thank you. One second. All right, can you guys see my screen? All right. Hi, my name is Seychelle Brainard, and this summer I interned at the University of Hawaii's Institute for Marine Biology. I'm a senior at Smith, born and raised in Kaneohe, Hawaii, which sparked my interest in marine science and environmental science. At Smith, I am double majoring in environmental science and policy and mathematical statistics. Through the environmental science major, my concentration is specifically in the quantitative applications in environmental conservation. This summer, I had the opportunity to intern at the Marine Ecological Theory Lab at the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology. This lab uses theoretical approaches to understand the mechanisms driving marine systems and coral reefs' potential responses to climate change. I am particularly interested in the intersection of my 2 majors and how mathematical modeling can be used to inform and mitigate environmental issues. Working at the Marine Ecological Theory Lab was an incredible opportunity for me to learn more about ecological modeling and gain experience in this field. The Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology is actually super close to my house, and I grew up kayaking out to Mokuoloi, which is the island on which the lab is located. After spending a semester abroad, I knew that I wanted to come home over the summer, so I reached out to the lab's PI, Lisa McManus, to see if I could use my Praxis funding to work in her lab. I'm so grateful that she gave me this opportunity. Given that this is a theory lab, the work that they do is almost exclusively online and is mostly ecological modeling and data analysis. Therefore, my internship was hybrid, and I spent 2 to 3 days a week in the lab and the rest working remotely. That being said, my work this summer was exclusively online and was mostly computer programming in Python. Some of my code that I was working on is on the picture on the right. However, going into work was always cool, as you have to take a boat out because it is located in the middle of Kaneohe Bay. There are also several cool research projects going on over the summer at the lab, My favorite included an experiment with 3 baby hammerhead sharks kept in a lagoon on the island. My work was divided into 3 major parts: training, my primary research project, and the development of my senior honors thesis. I spent the first few weeks of my internship reviewing Python fundamentals and learning to work with the file types and languages that support scientific computing. At Smith, I had taken the first 2 courses in the computer science sequence, so I was familiar with the basics of coding in Python, but it was really helpful for me to review this material and gain more confidence in my programming skills. This training mostly consisted of going through programming modules that focused specifically on environmental science coding, and working on small projects to hone the necessary programming and modeling skills. The image to the right is an example of one of the projects I worked on, and it mapped sea surface temperatures around Hawaii and the seasonal amplitude of the temperature. The majority of my summer was spent working on my primary research project, which investigated global coral reef connectivity and the potential for evolutionary adaptation to thermal stress. The most common reproductive method for reef-building corals is through broadcast spawning, where corals release their larvae into the water, which then disperse via the ocean currents. Larval dispersal connects individual coral reefs, forming an interconnected network that supports the flow of coral larvae from one reef to another. This connectivity plays a crucial role in sustaining the diversity and structure of coral populations by facilitating the movement and settlement of larvae between reefs. This promotes a genetic exchange and resilience across coral ecosystems. Sorry, a few technical difficulties. I think my Siri got activated somehow. I don't know how to turn it off. Are you guys hearing that? I'm so sorry. I don't know how to stop that.
I don't hear anything, Seychelle.
Okay, so
Seychelle,
sorry.
you're
Siri's like
okay.
talking in my ear right now.
It sounds fine.
Network that supports the flow of coral larvae one reef to another described as a crucial role in diversity and structure of coral populations facilitating the movement and installment of larvae between reefs. Check it out.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what is happening right now. But okay, essentially, larval dispersal networks are hypothesized to be one of the driving factors contributing to continued reef persistence, as thermal adaptation is facilitated by natural selection and the migration of corals, um, of coral larvae between reefs. For example, a reef that is downstream of a warmer reef receives immigrant larvae carrying genes that may be better adapted for warmer temperatures. These new genes then increase the thermal tolerance of the downstream reef population. This is a map of coral clusters on a global scale, where the colors represent different clusters. It simply means that a larvae from a red reef is likely to settle at another red reef, while a larvae from a blue reef is likely to settle at another blue reef. I also examined the influence of climate change and the difference between the thermal optimum of a larvae coming to a reef and the relative sea surface temperature. A coral's thermal optimum is the temperature at which it grows best. For this project, I was specifically examining how this difference is projected to change over time through future warming. Coral reefs have a range of temperatures at which they can survive, and their thermal optimum is typically on the higher end of the spectrum. Therefore, it is at temperatures slightly above this thermal optimum that coral bleaching events typically occur. Ideally, the difference between the incoming thermal optimum and the local sea surface temperature should be at or above 0. From this analysis, we observed that on a global scale, the difference between the thermal optimum and the sea surface temperature is initially positive, which is seen in the blue line. So this is good. This is where we want the difference to be at. However, it slowly decreases over time until the local sea surface temperature is higher than the thermal optimum, which is indicative of bleaching events. From the red lines, we can also see that both the incoming thermal optimum and the local sea surface temperature are increasing over time. The thermal optimum is the dashed red line, while the local sea surface temperature is the solid red line. We see that the local sea surface temperature is increasing at a faster rate. This indicates that climate change is outpacing coral's ability to adapt to increasing temperatures. One thing that really stuck with me from this work is that there is really still a chance to mitigate a lot of the detrimental effects of climate change. From this work, we can see that corals are actually evolving and do have the potential to withstand rising ocean temperatures. And we haven't quite hit a point yet where the temperatures are too hot for corals to survive. So while it doesn't really look great, it's not too late yet, and there's still the potential to save coral reefs, which is hopeful. The last part of my internship was spent developing my environmental science senior honor thesis. This thesis continues my summer research and specifically examines these trends in the southwestern Indian Ocean, as it is a particularly understudied region. The objective of my thesis is to explore the relationship between coral connectivity and genetic diversity to understand the influence of climate change on the composition of reef clusters due to shifts in coral cover and connectivity patterns. The final aim is to identify how connectivity considerations can be incorporated into the design of marine protected areas in the region. By identifying regions or clusters of reef more susceptible to fragmentation and exploring trends between the genetic variability and projected coral decline, I aim to provide information that can help with the development and adaptation of marine protected areas in this area on a site-specific basis to optimize coral reef conservation efforts. I also had the opportunity to participate in UH's summer undergraduate research experience, which provided supplemental infrastructure to undergrads working at UH over the summer. This included a presentation on grad school searches and applications, a cover letter and resume workshop, an introduction to Zotero, and culminated in an end of summer symposium. At this symposium, I had the opportunity to present a poster about my research, which was the first time I presented a poster and was really cool. This internship was such an incredible opportunity and taught me so much both academically and about my future career interests. This work furthered my interest in using mathematical modeling to address environmental issues. Most of my previous environmental research had involved fieldwork, which I did really enjoy, but this internship proved that I also enjoyed the computer aspect of this type of work. I also felt like the work this summer had tangible and broad applications. It also solidified my desire to go to grad school in either marine science or applied mathematics, hopefully an intersection of the two. However, I would really love to take some time off to work and gain industry experience before heading back to school. This internship was such an incredible opportunity, and I'm so grateful for Smith College's Praxis Fund for funding this internship, and Dr. Noam Van Vincent and Dr. Lisa McManus for all their support throughout the summer and the academic year. Thank you.
Great, fantastic. Thanks, Seychelle. Love the pictures. Love you talking about the work there, and yet you're inside doing coding a lot of that time. Amazing. There you go. So let's see. Sharmila hasn't been able to join us. I'm sorry. So Shalom, have you share your slides, make sure that's all set, and then you can go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Yep.
Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Shalom Mhanda. I'll be presenting on the Bauer-Clapp understanding project that I did during an internship at Amazon last summer. A bit more introduction. I'm a senior. I'm doing computer science and also a statistical and data sciences minor. My job title over the summer was software development engineer intern. I was working with the Kindle Unlimited book discovery team. For those that are not familiar, Kindle Unlimited is a book subscription service that allows you access to an unlimited number of books every month. And the book discovery team works on the book recommendations that show up on your Kindle app, on your mobile device, or on your Kindle device, or anywhere you access Kindle books. Throughout this internship, I had the support of an onboarding buddy who is someone on the team who helps you onboarding, that is installing the software you need, getting acquainted to the team and the company culture in general. I also had a mentor who was more hands-on on my project, who helped me throughout my internship. I also had an applied scientist who had more machine learning knowledge and was guiding me throughout the process of working on my project. I also worked with a manager who I had a one-on-one meeting with every week, and he made sure I had everything that I needed. And also the rest of the team was always available whenever I had a question or I needed some help. My internship was for 12 weeks and I was in Seattle, Washington, which is where the Amazon headquarters are. Okay, so Amazon operates under 16 leadership principles, and one of them is customer obsession. So what customer obsession means is that before doing any development work, you start with the customer and then work from there. So this is where you look at what the customer needs and what problems the customer is facing, and then you work from there. So I started looking into the current customer problems that we had. So customers had mentioned in a survey that they consider a book's cover image before deciding which book to read. So essentially customers were judging a book by its cover. And my team found this interesting, and hence my project came up, which is the Book Cover Understanding Project. Its aim was to try to understand how book cover images influence readers. Customers had also expressed concerns about provocative books displayed in their book recommendations. By provocative, they meant books with naked people in them or books with shirtless people in them. And they were not comfortable seeing those recommendations in their Kindle apps. So the aim of my project was to find a solution to this problem. And for the scope of my project, provocative means book covers with shirtless people on them. We had to limit it to this scope because provocative is subjective and is different based on like who you ask. Everyone has a different outlook on what provocative means. So this was just to limit the scope for this project, and we would iterate from there in the next steps. So the proposed solution was first to build a book cover image classification model. So this is a machine learning model that, given a book cover image, it classifies is either provocative or not provocative. And then the next step would be to generate a provocativeness threshold for each customer. So this is where we look at a customer and their past consumption history and see if a customer has consumed books with provocative cover images in the past, then they have a threshold that's higher than a customer who has not consumed such content before. And then using this would then recommend books tailored to each customer's threshold. They were ensuring that a customer is comfortable with the books that they're being shown. So my main goal within this solution was to build the image classification model. So for the model building process, I started with data understanding. This is whereby I collected 5.3 million book cover images within the subscription program. And after collecting that data, I went on to do data preparation. So I collected a sample from those 5.3 million images. And then the next thing I did was image feature extraction. So what image feature extraction means is that given an image, you extract the features that make that image sort of unique from other images. So what that would look like, an example is this. So on this part, you see an image of a desk and a portrait on the wall. So what the computer would see when it looks at this and is extracting the features is what you see on the dots on this image here. So let's say it would look at the size when it's looking at this portrait and then everything on the portrait. And when it's looking at the table, it's identifying like all the shelves and the size as well. So that's what image feature extraction looks like. And in my case, it would look at all the book cover images and then extract features from them. So after image feature extraction, I did image clustering, which means grouping images based on visual similarity. So let's say if you have two images of cats and then two images of dogs, if you pass it through a clustering algorithm, then and if you tell it to group the images into two groups, then it will group them into one group of images of cats and one group of images of dogs. So I did this so as to collect a balanced sample from all types of, from all the groups of images that I would then use for image labeling. So in image labeling, this is where I had a human being look at an image, a book cover image, and decide if it's provocative or not provocative. So in this step, I provided detailed guidelines on what provocative means, and also provided examples and edge cases of what's provocative and not provocative, just so as to stay within the scope of the definition of provocative in this project. So after labeling the data, I then used that data to train the model. This is the part where I was utilizing convolutional neural networks. These are machine learning models usually used in computer vision and image recognition tasks. And I also use transfer learning, which is a technique that allows you to take an existing algorithm that has been trained on millions of images and has been proven efficient, and you use it to train your own model to work for the specific use case that you need, and then just using a few images to train it. So after doing the training, I went on to do evaluation. I was a cycle between training and evaluation until I had a model that had a good accuracy of predicting whether a book cover image was provocative or not provocative. So after working on the model, I did a presentation to my team and delivered the model, and that was the end of my internship. So after the internship, I came up with some goals. The first one was to take a machine learning class and learn the foundations. So prior to the internship, I had not done machine learning before. I had not taken any class in it, but I'd always been curious about it. So this internship allowed me to look into a specific type of machine learning, which is image classification. And I really wanted to go back to the foundations and learn more about machine learning and the applications in other areas as well. And I was able to do this when I studied abroad and took a machine learning class. My other goal was to also work on projects to keep building the machine learning model building skills. This is something that's very important within technology, that is working on projects and practicing a lot. There's a lot that you learn from actually working on something rather than just taking a class. So this is something that I'll also continue doing in my free time. And then I also just wanted to keep on doing independent research, staying up to date with the current AI and machine learning trends, as this has been a hot topic over the past year. I also wanted to share what I learned throughout the internship process. So the first thing is just to be open to new challenges, even if you think you only have 1% of the skill set required for a task. As I mentioned before, I went in without any prior machine learning knowledge. I only knew Python, which is the programming language that I was using, but I was still able to enjoy the learning challenge, and I was able to produce a model in the end. So even if you think that you only have a fraction of the skill set that's required for a task, still be open to the challenge, and you get there. And the other thing I wanted to share is that or you should also use all the resources around you and drive your learning experience. And when you're really passionate about something that you're doing, people around you are also happy to help you with what you need. So utilize all the resources that you have around you and really drive your learning experience. Yeah, and also software engineering is not just coding. It involves a lot more. It includes research, problem solving, and understanding user needs. I would say, like, for my project over the summer, I would say I would use 30% of my time doing the actual coding. The rest was researching different machine learning algorithms, trying to problem solve, and trying to understand the user needs in navigating what provocative means. And I've had a lot of people nervous about software engineering because they think it's just coding, but it involves a lot more processes that are actually very interesting and challenging. So I will continue pursuing software engineering after I graduate as well. Thank you for listening.
Excellent. Thank you, Shalom. Thank you for bringing us a little behind the scenes of how that work is done. That was fantastic. Thank you to both of you. So we have some time here for questions from the audience now that our panelists have given their presentations. And so if there's some things you'd like to ask, please feel free to plug them into the chat, and we'll relay them to the panelists, to either or to both of them. But I'd like to start off, and a question that I have for both of you is, you both talked about really coming into the work and into your summer roles, not necessarily having all the skills and all the technical skills already in hand, so to speak. So I wonder if you could share a little bit more about how you approached kind of getting yourself up to speed with some of those technical skills, some of those coding skills or coding adjacent skills. Like, what did that look like in terms of what you needed to do to be able to really dig into your work? I hope that question makes sense. Do either of you want to try and tackle that?
Yeah, sure, I can go first. I think I comparatively probably had a little bit less experience, but like Sean mentioned, just like always like reaching out to people and like asking for support when you need it. Like so many people, especially in the academic world, are always very ready to help. I know that both of my advisors were like always there to like answer any questions that I might have, or like go through my code, or like point me in the right direction, or towards like resources that might be helpful to me. And I also think just taking like the baby steps in my project was really helpful, like taking those weeks to review the basics of coding in Python, and then taking a few weeks to go through and do like smaller scale projects. And then I actually started one doing like coral clustering in like Japan first, and then like in Hawaii to like get a sense of using like a smaller data sets, and then expanding it to the bigger scale and stuff like that. So just like taking your own time and just like going through the steps that you need to take in order to make yourself feel the most confident in what you're doing.
Mhm. Great, thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I'll say for me, as a computer science major, I had the Python skills for my computer science classes, but I wasn't prepared for the scope of working with so many images and like, yeah, the scope of work that is at Amazon. And yeah, like Seychelle said, reaching out to people, I remember like with my mentor, we had a document where we used to keep like links to articles and research papers and Coursera courses, which were all resources that they offered. And whenever I found something new, I'd also add. Whenever my mentor found something new, she would also add it and like tell me, oh, I found this. It would be an interesting read on what you're working on. So yeah, that support that you get when you just ask.
Mhm.
That really helped me to learn a lot and dive deep and yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And what about maybe kind of an extension of that with your supervisors or the other people around you? Their role is to help guide and provide some structure for you, and help you make sure you have the information you need, but also maybe offer some constructive feedback so that you're hopefully learning and really developing. How did that supervision work for both of you? What did that look like? How regularly were you connecting with your supervisor? And any particular insights that you may have gotten from that working relationship?
For me personally, my internship was very self-motivated. It wasn't a formal internship. I was the one who reached out. I was the one who like used my praxis funding. So my mentors weren't really getting anything from it. So it was a lot of just like self-motivation, and they were super helpful with everything. But I was the one who had to initiate a lot of things and like ask for support when I needed it. So I think initially it started off as asking for a lot of help on like every single thing that I was doing. And then like as the summer progressed, I was able to do a lot more independent work. And so usually just have like 1 or 2 meetings a week and like go through the problems that I'd encounter the days before that and stuff like that. And then during the academic year, when I progressed to my senior honors thesis, we would just have a meeting every 2 weeks. So I think that just required a lot of more independent thought and like just working through the issues on my own time, and then just like bringing the major concerns up in those meetings. But they were just very responsive to like any issues I might have, but it was a challenge for me, I guess, and like an opportunity for me to just like reflect and grow.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, for me, I had a weekly a one-on-one meeting with my manager every week. This is where I would share my progress on the project, and also like if there was anything that I needed or people that I needed to be connected to or things like that. And then I also had, I think every week I had a meeting with my mentor and the applied scientist who had more machine learning knowledge. And I would also share my progress there, and then the proposed next steps, and we figure out how to proceed. I also met with my mentor more times than that. And then also every day there's like a daily meeting, a stand-up meeting. This is where like everyone on the team shares what they worked on the previous day and then what they're planning to work on that day. It's just a 15-minute meeting. So that was also a time for me to share what I was doing and also learn about what everyone else in the team was working on.
Great, thanks. Shalom, this is a question a little bit more for you, because Seychelle, I know you kind of did your outreach, you made contact to initiate your experience, but for Shalom, just give us a little look into what was the application process like for you to get this internship, just kind of an overview.
Yeah, so for me, the first time that I applied was I think in the fall 2022 semester. And it was an online application where you send in your resume, and then you go through the resume screening, and then they give you an online coding assessment. This is where they give you some questions that are sort of like problem solving. And then after that, there was an interview where they asked some behavioral questions and another technical question. And then from there, you get an offer. So I interned with Amazon in my sophomore year summer, and on the same team. And then so for this internship last summer, I didn't have to apply again. I got a return offer to come back and do another internship.
Cool, great. So I want to do a last call for questions from the audience, and while we're holding on that, I want to offer one more question to both of you. For people who are listening in who are just curious of, wow, how could I find my way into doing something like that? So what's a piece of advice you would share with a fellow student who is maybe looking to get an internship in either of your fields? What's one thing, or maybe a couple of things you would say, keep this in mind?
Yeah, for software engineering, I would say join the Smith organizations on campus. There's Smithies in computer science, there's Girls Who Code, which is, I think, recently starting the semester. Yeah, those organizations are really helpful in just learning from other students who are also within tech. What I found really helpful when I started was just like getting help from other Smithies who were juniors and seniors at that time. They really helped me through the whole process of like what a resume should look like, and how to practice for the technical challenges and things like that. And also the last center was very helpful with resumes and the behavioral aspect of an interview as well. So yeah, look out for all the resources that you can, even talking to professors as well. Some of them have experience like working in software engineering. So yeah, oh, there's also a software engineering class that's offered at Smith. That was really helpful for my first software engineering internship. So I'll definitely recommend that. Yeah.
Yeah, great, thanks. Seychelle, any suggestions?
Yeah, I agree. Utilizing the resources that Smith has, like for environmental science and marine science in particular, SEEDS has been super helpful. They also fund internships with NOAA, which I did last summer, and that was also an incredible opportunity to get more experience in that field. There are a couple marine science classes. Not too many faculty at Smith do marine science. It's a bit difficult, but just being a bit proactive and taking the opportunities when you see them. But there are definitely at least 2 faculty members who specialize in marine science. So reaching out to them is super helpful, and they've sent me a couple of opportunities as well.
Yeah, great. Well, we just got another question that came in. Are internships widely available to all Smith students? Or are they more allocated towards upperclassmen or people a little further on in their academic journey? And actually, maybe I can jump in as a representative of Lazar Center too. We do see students even after their first year who will do internships. That's certainly available. I think we'll tend to see more people do internships maybe after their sophomore and/or after their junior year. But there are certainly possibilities, depending on what fields you're in, depending on what you're interested in, to do internships earlier on in your academic experience. For sure. Great. Let's see, I'm just reading another question here. A prospective neuroscience major on pre-med, love to hear about internship and research opportunities available in this field at Smith. And I would definitely invite you to attend the health professions panel that's happening next week. That would be a great opportunity to learn more about that as well. Okay. And I guess a follow-up question, do internships require a specific major or academic background? And again, it will depend quite a bit on the field and the particular role. There are a lot of organizations that are open to people across majors, across disciplines. Sometimes things are a bit more specialized. So the short answer is it depends. There's a lot of resources through the Career Center, through academic departments, to support, to help you seek opportunities, all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of resources to support you with looking for opportunities that might be a good fit for you. Yeah. Okay, so with that feels like a great point to wrap up today. So huge thank you to Seychelle and Shalom for your great presentations. So wonderful to hear about these experiences. So fantastic. Thank you to you both. And thank you to our audience. Thank you for your interest in these opportunities. Thank you for your interest and for tuning into the presentations. We really appreciate you joining us today. So thank you all and have a great evening. Have a great week. Take care.